I would appraise this book actually at about $40,000. Let me tell you.
I would appraise this book at about $40,000, Rebecca Romney said calmly, her eyes scanning the pages with the precision of someone decades older and infinitely wiser. At that moment, anyone watching could sense her authority, calm, composed, and deadly accurate. Little did anyone know, what seemed like another routine appraisal on Pawn Stars would soon unravel into a whirlwind of controversy, FBI investigations, and ultimately her sudden disappearance. You see, Rebecca wasn't just another guest expert. She was the rare book savant the show and Rick Harrison himself trusted implicitly. But in 2014, everything changed. A stolen book worth tens of thousands of dollars appeared on national television. The FBI stepped in, and suddenly, the calm, knowledgeable expert everyone admired was at the center of questions no one could answer. By January 2015, Rebecca vanished from the show without explanation. No farewell, no official statement, just a sudden absence that left fans scratching their heads. Today, we're diving behind the cameras to uncover the story that was buried for years. What really happened to Rebecca Romney, and why did her extraordinary career come to such an abrupt halt? It all began in 2014 when a rare and highly valuable book, previously stolen, surfaced on the Pawn Stars set. The stakes couldn't have been higher. A book worth $40,000 was now in the hands of a television crew, and the potential legal ramifications were enormous. Suddenly, Rebecca, the calm expert everyone relied upon, found herself answering questions from the FBI. How had stolen items made their way onto national TV? Who was responsible for ensuring the shop didn't cross the line of legality? The uncertainty sent shockwaves not just through the pawn shop, but also through the show's dedicated fan base. By January of 2015, Rebecca had disappeared entirely from the series. There was no farewell segment, no press statement, and no acknowledgement of her absence. Viewers were left in the dark, speculating about what had gone wrong behind the scenes. The truth remained hidden for years, a puzzle few dared to piece together. Rebecca Romney was born on April 6, 1985, in the sun-drenched city of Phoenix, Arizona. The warm desert skies and quiet streets of her childhood seemed worlds away from the rarefied world of million-dollar manuscripts she would one day dominate. As a child, Rebecca displayed an insatiable curiosity about ideas, languages, and philosophy. She often joked that old books were relics meant for elderly scholars, nothing more than dusty artifacts without real life. Her dreams, at that time, were lofty, yet unrelated to rare books. She wanted to become a philosopher, perhaps even a translator. She loved languages, the mechanics of thought, and intellectual exploration, things that would later make her uniquely suited for identifying the nuances of ancient manuscripts, but in those days, they were simply her passions. By the age of 18, Rebecca had entered college with the intention of immersing herself in classical studies. Her mind was voracious, and by 22, she had mastered 5.5 languages: English, French, Japanese, Latin, ancient Greek, and even some Old English. Her approach to learning was rigorous. She studied for 12 hours a day, driven by a thirst for understanding that seemed almost unnatural for someone so young. During one remarkable instance, she translated a 300 BC Greek papyrus for a university exam, a feat that left professors stunned and hinted at the analytical skills that would later save collectors millions of dollars. Between 2003 and 2007, Rebecca pursued philosophy and classical studies at Brigham Young University. While many of her peers chose safer majors, she immersed herself in debates on free will, logic, and ethics, often spending 4-hour stretches in seminar rooms dissecting Plato and Aristotle. Her passion extended beyond standard coursework. She took additional classes, maintained a perfect GPA, and graduated with honors. Her senior thesis focused on comparing 2 centuries-old Greek fragments of Plato's Republic, an endeavor that few could comprehend in depth, but one that honed her skills in meticulous textual analysis. Little did anyone know, this combination of philosophy, language mastery, and relentless attention to detail would prepare her for a life that teetered on the edge of intellectual genius and high-stakes risk. After graduation in 2007, Rebecca made what she later described as a life-altering mistake, or perhaps fate's peculiar hand. She applied for what she assumed was a managerial role at Bowman Rare Books in Philadelphia. Upon entering the interview, she realized her error. The position was for a rare book specialist, a field she had never formally studied. For a moment, she considered walking out, unsure if she could navigate a world so far removed from philosophy, classrooms, and classical texts. But instead, she stayed, admitted her lack of experience, and impressed the interviewers with her linguistic prowess and sharp, analytical mind. Within months, she was entrusted with manuscripts of immense historical and monetary value. A Shakespeare folio from 1623, pages from the Gutenberg Bible, and first editions of Newton's Principia Mathematica. By 2010, just 3 years after joining Bowman, Rebecca had become gallery manager in Las Vegas, a city where the rare book and antique worlds intersected with entertainment. At 26, she was overseeing collections worth more than most homes. By 2013, she ascended to senior director, the youngest in the company's history. In this role, she managed catalogs, auctions, and private sales totaling over $10 million annually. One client paid $300,000 for a book printed in 1472, a transaction that showcased both the trust placed in her expertise and her uncanny ability to navigate a market where one wrong move could cost millions. Rebecca didn't land on Pawn Stars through a casting call. Rick Harrison already knew her from the Las Vegas rare book scene. Their paths had crossed at local events and, through mutual acquaintances, bonded by a shared obsession with history and antiquities. When Rick needed someone with unparalleled knowledge of old books, documents, and handwriting, he bypassed producers entirely and reached out to her directly. In 2011, she appeared on Pawn Stars for the first time, not as a television personality, but as a trusted expert. From the moment she stepped in front of the camera, Rebecca commanded attention. In her first episode, she evaluated a stack of Civil War-era papers, including a Confederate bond that could have been worth $5,000 if authentic. Within minutes, she identified a forged signature, reducing its value to a mere fraction of what the owner had hoped for. Viewers were captivated by her calm precision, her ability to cross-check details quietly yet authoritatively, and the way she made complex historical valuation accessible to everyone. Ratings surged by 15% after that episode, cementing her as the go-to expert for anything made of paper. Between 2011 and 2015, Rebecca appeared in roughly 30 episodes, handling some of the most iconic appraisals on the show. She saved Chumley from losing his job by authenticating a Lindbergh autograph worth $1,500, exposed missing Confederate bonds linked to the USS Republic shipwreck, and debunked a Shakespeare First folio that could have cost the shop thousands. Each appraisal showcased not just her knowledge, but her calm, measured delivery. Unlike other experts who dramatized every find, Rebecca maintained composure, delivering bad news and good with the same serene confidence. She also identified treasures of monumental historical significance. One of her most celebrated appraisals was a first edition of Darwin's On the Origin of Species, printed in 1859. Rebecca recognized the green cloth binding, the diagrams, and ads dated June 1859 as authentic. She valued the book at $75,000, highlighting its unparalleled historical and scientific importance. Another memorable moment involved a first edition of Frankenstein, worth $20,000, which further solidified her reputation as the book whisperer. Fans adored her, social media buzzed with admiration, and producers were inundated with requests for more screen time featuring her expertise. In 2014, the stakes escalated. A stolen book worth $40,000 appeared on the Pawn Stars set. The FBI intervened, questioning how stolen items were ending up on national television. The investigation placed Rebecca at the center, testing her knowledge, her ethics, and her composure. Suddenly, the very expertise that had made her invaluable also exposed her to scrutiny. The calm, trusted expert now faced a high-stakes situation that could have ended her career, or worse. By January 2015, Rebecca Romney was gone from the show. There was no farewell episode, no press statement, no official explanation. Fans were left speculating, theories abounded online, and the media remained silent. Her absence was sudden and mysterious, leaving a void that no other expert could fill. The calm, precise, and reliable presence that had guided viewers through some of the most fascinating appraisals on Pawn Stars was now a missing piece of television history. Rebecca's impact on Pawn Stars and the world of rare books cannot be overstated. She appeared in roughly 30 episodes during her tenure, doing nearly 3/4 of all paper-related appraisals in her prime. She transformed how viewers understood historical documents, letters, and books, balancing education, suspense, and entertainment. Dubbed the Book Whisperer, she garnered tens of thousands of followers, inspired fan theories, and created a standard of calm precision that other experts could only aspire to. Even years after her departure, her influence continues to resonate, a reminder that extraordinary skill and quiet confidence can leave a legacy far greater than any single appraisal. Even though Rebecca's presence on screen was composed and calm, her life behind the scenes was anything but ordinary. She spent hours researching provenance, cross-referencing auction records, and deciphering centuries-old handwriting. Fans never saw her late-night phone calls to museums, her meticulous cataloging of rare collections, or her trips to private estates to verify manuscripts. Those quiet hours, often solitary, were where her reputation was forged. While the cameras captured her calm exterior, the reality was a relentless pursuit of precision. Friends recall her carrying notebooks filled with cryptic symbols, historical annotations, and shorthand that only she could decode. Her attention to detail became legendary among collectors who trusted her opinions implicitly. Rebecca didn't just appraise books, she shaped the next generation of rare book experts. During her time in Las Vegas, she mentored several junior specialists, teaching them not just the technical skills, but also the ethics required in the high-stakes world of rare manuscripts. She emphasized that knowledge alone wasn't enough. One had to maintain integrity, patience, and meticulous attention to provenance. Some of her protégés have gone on to become trusted experts themselves, carrying forward her methods and attention to detail. Her teaching style was calm but demanding, much like her on-screen persona. She challenged them to question everything, to never accept the surface story, and to understand the history behind each piece of paper. Beyond her work on Pawn Stars, Rebecca uncovered items of tremendous historical significance that never made it to television. She once authenticated a 15th-century illuminated manuscript that had been miscatalogued in a private collection. The manuscript contained unique marginalia that shed light on early Renaissance thought, potentially worth millions. Another discovery involved letters from American Revolutionary War soldiers, carefully preserved but previously dismissed as replicas. Her authentication not only increased the financial value, but also added depth to historical scholarship. These off-camera discoveries cemented her reputation as one of the most reliable and meticulous experts in her field. While Pawn Stars gave her a public platform, other media soon noticed her expertise. She was invited to speak at rare book fairs, history conferences, and collector conventions. Articles highlighted her calm demeanor, linguistic mastery, and uncanny ability to detect forgeries. Despite this attention, Rebecca shunned the celebrity aspect of her career, preferring the quiet satisfaction of discovery and verification. Unlike many who seek fame, she let her work speak for itself. Fans of the show, however, continued to celebrate her, creating forums and fan pages dedicated entirely to her analyses and discoveries. Rebecca often faced ethical dilemmas during her career, which required more than just technical skill. Some items she encountered were stolen, forged, or tied to morally complex histories such as slave trade documents or colonial acquisitions. She had to balance legal obligations, historical integrity, and market pressures. Her decisions often prevented the pawnshop from inadvertently dealing in stolen or ethically questionable items. In doing so, she became a guardian of history, ensuring that rare artifacts were respected and preserved rather than exploited. Her calm, methodical approach turned high-stakes ethical decisions into teachable moments for colleagues and viewers alike. Rebecca's influence extended beyond collectors and historians. She captured the imagination of a new generation of viewers. Fans marveled at her ability to turn seemingly ordinary papers into gripping stories of history and value. Online, threads dissected her every appraisal, praised her methods, and speculated about items she evaluated off-screen. She became more than a TV expert. She became a mentor from afar, inspiring people to explore historical documents, rare books, and their hidden stories. Her persona, calm, precise, and intellectually rigorous, resonated with people who wanted to see knowledge and skill rewarded without theatrics. Even years after her departure, questions lingered about Rebecca's sudden exit. Was it entirely due to the stolen book controversy? Were there behind-the-scenes conflicts, legal concerns, or personal reasons? Her silence fueled speculation and intrigue. Fans continued to debate theories, some suggesting she moved into private collection, consulting, while others believe she chose to step away from television to focus on research. Regardless of the reasons, the aura of mystery surrounding her departure only enhanced her legendary status in the rare book community. Rebecca did not vanish completely from the rare book world. Reports indicate she continued to consult for high-profile collectors, authenticate manuscripts, and contribute to scholarly research. While she stepped out of the public eye, her expertise remained highly sought after. Some rare books she authenticated have appeared at auctions for hundreds of thousands of dollars, with provenance notes crediting her work. This period of relative privacy allowed her to focus on the intellectual side of her craft, exploring manuscripts and documents with the same passion she displayed on television, but without the pressure of public scrutiny. Rebecca Romney's appearances on Pawn Stars changed the way audiences perceived rare books and historical documents. She made the valuation process accessible, educational, and entertaining. More importantly, she demonstrated that knowledge, patience, and ethical responsibility could coexist with commercial success. In a world often driven by hype, her calm, measured approach provided a blueprint for how expertise should be presented to the public. Collectors, historians, and fans alike continue to reference her methods as exemplary, proving that her influence extends far beyond her television tenure. Rebecca's story offers lessons for anyone seeking mastery in a niche field. First, deep knowledge and meticulous preparation are indispensable. Second, integrity and ethics must guide every decision, even when profits are tempting. Third, patience and calm under pressure differentiate good experts from legendary ones. Finally, passion and curiosity drive excellence. Rebecca's love for languages, history, and philosophy translated seamlessly into her rare book expertise, showing that skills developed in one domain can become invaluable in another. Rebecca Romney remains a figure of fascination, admiration, and mystery. Her calm expertise, dedication to ethics, and meticulous approach to rare books earned her a permanent place in the minds of Pawn Stars fans and collectors worldwide. Though her departure remains shrouded in questions, her legacy is undeniable. She proved that intelligence, skill, and composure could transform a simple appraisal into a moment of discovery, education, and awe. Even today, decades-old manuscripts, rare books, and historical documents bear the mark of her insight and influence, reminding us all that sometimes history itself has a whisperer, and in Rebecca Romney we found one of the best. Authenticating rare books is far from straightforward. Rebecca often faced complex cases where provenance was unclear, documents were damaged, or historical records contradicted themselves. Each appraisal required cross-referencing decades, sometimes centuries, of auction records, handwriting analysis, and printing techniques. She encountered forgeries designed to fool even seasoned experts and manuscripts that had been altered to inflate value. Rebecca's ability to see through these deceptions became her hallmark. She treated each piece with the same meticulous care, aware that a single error could cost a collector thousands or more. Beyond the famous books featured on Pawn Stars, Rebecca unearthed documents with incredible historical importance. Letters between Civil War generals, diaries from early explorers, and rare pamphlets that captured key moments in history all passed through her hands. Each discovery had a story, and Rebecca had the rare ability to contextualize it, linking historical significance to market value. Fans and collectors were captivated by her ability to breathe life into objects that had sat forgotten for decades. She transformed history into something tangible and exciting. Rebecca's work took her far beyond Las Vegas. She traveled internationally to examine manuscripts, attending auctions in London, Paris, and Tokyo. These trips were both exhilarating and exhausting, often involving negotiations with collectors, curators, and museum officials. Her knowledge of multiple languages allowed her to read original manuscripts, decipher handwritten notes, and uncover details others overlooked. These global experiences enriched her expertise and expanded her influence, making her one of the most respected figures in the rare book community worldwide. Even after her departure from television, Rebecca continued consulting for private collectors, universities, and museums. Some of her most notable projects involved authenticating works previously misattributed or undervalued. These included rare maps, early printed scientific texts, and personal letters of historical figures. In each case, her work not only increased the monetary value, but also contributed to historical scholarship. Museums credited her with helping ensure that valuable pieces of history were preserved and properly cataloged. Working with rare books and historical documents often meant navigating legal gray areas. Rebecca frequently dealt with items that had ambiguous ownership histories, including stolen or smuggled manuscripts. Her methodical approach ensured that neither collectors nor institutions faced legal consequences. This aspect of her work highlighted her role not just as an appraiser, but as a guardian of history, someone responsible for maintaining the integrity of cultural artifacts. Fans rarely saw this side of her work, but it was critical to the trust she built in the rare book world. Rebecca's sudden disappearance from Pawn Stars fueled endless speculation. Online forums buzzed with theories. Some suggested she was forced out due to the FBI investigation, others believed she wanted privacy, and some speculated she moved on to a more prestigious academic or consulting role. Regardless of the reason, the mystery surrounding her exit only amplified her legend. Fans continued to study her past episodes, praising her calm demeanor, accuracy, and insights. She became a figure of fascination for both collectors and casual viewers alike. Rebecca set a new standard for on-screen expertise. Prior to her appearances, appraisals on reality TV often prioritized drama over accuracy. Rebecca demonstrated that viewers valued knowledge, integrity, and calm precision. After her tenure, new experts on the show and others in similar series adopted her style, focused, patient, and meticulous. Her influence reshaped how expertise was portrayed on television, proving that competence could captivate audiences as much as theatrics. Not every discovery she made was televised. Some manuscripts, letters, and rare books she authenticated were part of private collections or sensitive historical archives. These finds, however, were no less remarkable. One included personal letters from an early 19th century explorer detailing previously unknown journeys in South America. Another was a rare astronomical chart with annotations by a famous mathematician. These hidden gems reinforced her reputation as someone whose work extended far beyond the camera lens, shaping history quietly but profoundly. Rebecca's work required a unique combination of intellect, patience, and intuition. She had to interpret handwriting, understand historical context, and assess subtle changes in paper and ink, all while remaining calm under pressure. Her ability to synthesize information quickly and accurately made her one of the most respected experts in her field. Beyond technical skill, she demonstrated emotional intelligence, reading both the items and the people presenting them to gauge authenticity and intent. This psychological insight became a key part of her methodology, setting her apart from peers. Even years after leaving Pawn Stars, Rebecca Romney's legacy endures. Collectors, historians, and fans continue to reference her analyses and methods. She transformed how historical documents are valued, both financially and intellectually. Her influence persists not just in auctions and collections, but in the cultural imagination, proof that expertise, patience, and integrity can leave an enduring mark. Her story remains a testament to the power of knowledge, curiosity, and quiet determination in a world that often celebrates spectacle over substance. Rebecca's most renowned skill was spotting forgeries that could fool anyone else. She studied ink composition, paper texture, printing techniques, and handwriting idiosyncrasies with near-scientific precision. Even a slight deviation in letter formation or the aging of paper could reveal a fake. She treated forgery detection as both a science and an art, combining logic with intuition honed over years of study. Collectors came to rely on her assessments, knowing that one wrong evaluation could cost them tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Television appraisals often required working under extreme scrutiny. Cameras captured every second, and mistakes could be publicly magnified. Rebecca excelled under pressure, maintaining composure while performing rigorous analyses in front of millions of viewers. Her calm demeanor became a trademark. Viewers never saw panic or uncertainty, only precise, confident evaluations. This ability not only enhanced her credibility on screen, but also instilled trust in clients who depended on her judgment. Beyond television, Rebecca contributed to scholarly research in rare books and manuscripts. She published papers analyzing historical texts, deciphering forgotten languages, and uncovering previously overlooked details in ancient works. Her research influenced academic discussions in classical studies and historical linguistics. While the public mostly knew her from television, the academic community recognized her as a brilliant mind whose insights advanced the field of rare book scholarship. Rebecca frequently consulted for museums seeking verification of rare items or historical manuscripts. Her involvement ranged from authenticating documents to helping design exhibitions that accurately represented history. She treated every piece of paper as a portal to the past, emphasizing historical integrity above monetary value. Museums valued her input because she combined deep historical knowledge with practical expertise, ensuring exhibits were both accurate and compelling. While her reputation grew, Rebecca had to navigate the pressures of public attention. Fans, media, and even amateur collectors scrutinized her every move. She maintained a low profile, focusing on her work rather than celebrity. Her choice